Hello and a very warm welcome to Talking Germany, the show where we do just that. And my guest today is a journalist, traveller, author, comedian, entertainer, documentarian and amateur astronomer. I'm just looking across to see how he's reacting to all that. Here he is, Michael Wigge. Welcome to Talking Germany. You like the list, I think.
I mean, it was quite long. Let's just, put it down to one or two of these.
OK, we'll work our way down the list. Now, Michael Wigge has won many prizes for his work, and he's even been on the Jay Leno show, but he'll be most familiar to DW viewers for his many appearances on our culture and lifestyle show Euromaxx, where he has most recently been featured on a remarkable journey down the length of Germany on a kick scooter. He's a unique and fascinating character, and here he is. Michael, you could have walked, you could have cycled, you could have taken a car, you could have gone by train. Right. A kick scooter?
You know, I never used it before, so it was quite an adventure to try it out. And, it's slow, obviously, So the challenge was high to travel 2,500 kilometers in 80 days.
That was the distance, that was the full distance?
Yes, that was the distance. It was a bit zigzag through the country, so 2,500 kilometers in 80 days. So on a scooter, it's much more difficult than on a bicycle. So it was a challenge. And this kind of slowness of the scooter gives the reporter the chance to really explore the country and not just, drive past. With a car. So that was these were the two reasons why we chose the kick scooter.
OK, we're going to be talking about several of the journeys that you have been on in the last several years. Yeah, what's this? This was certainly not the longest journey that you've been on.
No. This was not the longest. The longest of all was two-thirds of a year. It was the barter journey,
barter journey.
How to barter for paradise. It's starting with an apple and trying to finish with a house in Hawaii just by bartering for bigger and better.
Okay. We're going to be talking about, one of the things we're going to be talking about on the programme today is sort of German words, German concepts, German cliches, yeah?
Right.
One of those is the word Wanderlust, yeah, which has made its way into the English language. Just explain to us, explain for our viewers what Wanderlust means.
I mean, if you translate it, it would be like hiking passion. Is it
hiking passion?
Is it? Or how would you say? Is it hiking passion?
See, that's the problem. It's such a German word that there's no real sort of equivalent in the English language.
It's not. Yeah. So, and I think if you talk about Wanderlust, is it about hiking in the end, or is it about spazieren gehen? Because that is very German.
Do you know, I don't think it's about walking at all. I think I think the German one has got this Wander, walking.
That's serious.
Yeah. But I think in English, it's sort of, you get sort of itchy. You want to get out on the road. You want to move around. Certainly, when I think of you, I think of Wanderlust.
Right.
Where does the Wanderlust in you come from?
Oh. There might be different reasons, but with my parents, I went on vacation as a child quite a lot, always with a car, driving to Southern Europe, always by car, never taking the plane. So 3 days in the car, up and down, to Sicily. And my dad used to work as a truck driver. So
your dad was a truck driver.
Yeah. So when I had school vacations, it was the greatest to go with him 3 days to Austria or France, on these trips. And, in these trucks, you have 2 beds in the background.
Yeah.
And so you sleep there. And so that was the kind of adventure. And maybe there my Wanderlust
Your Wanderlust
originated, yeah.
Oh, wow. And these days you live here in Berlin?
Yes, I live here in Berlin.
It's home. To use another word, it's your Heimat? No, not really.
This is my Heimat. Yes, it is, definitely. Definitely. But I'm gone quite a bit of the year.
How much time do you actually spend at home?
Definitely 2 months a year. No, I'm just exaggerating. I don't know, half a year maybe.
Half a year, half and half. Yeah.
Half and half, yes.
And let's just get back to your kick scooter. Yeah? Do you use your kick scooter in Berlin to get around town at all?
I've done quite a few times, but then I also like to walk. Recently, I like to walk or I like to take the car. I must admit there is also a lazy part of me, doing some project like this, but then afterwards, leaning back, driving the car.
OK, folks, you've had your first impressions there from Michael. Here is more.
This is the northernmost point in Germany, on the North Sea island of Sylt. And it's where Michael Wigge embarked on his latest tour of Germany in April 2013. His chosen means of transportation, a push scooter. Well, he's never been the kind to take the easy option. The Deutsche Welle reporter turns every trip into an adventure.
Wir wollen vom nördlichsten Punkt
We
Deutschland
want to go from the extreme north to the extreme south of Germany using cycle paths. That's a total of 2,500 kilometers, hopefully inside 80 days. We'll be exploring Germany and its culture, and looking for little stories to discover by the wayside.
That schedule seems to leave little time to enjoy the journey. But it's a labor of love for Michael Wigge, a one-man presenter and camera operator team. The roving reporter has won multiple accolades for his signature video journalism. Two of Michael Wigge's previous Germany tours were made in conjunction with the DW show Euromaxx. In the series Land of Loveliness, he presented the top sights that the country has to offer. And for The Truth About Germany, he was happy to sample classic cliches about Germans. This expedition has to be the most physically demanding yet. But he's not completely on his own. He has a colleague escorting him with a caravan, providing him with a bed and a place to write his travel diary. This will be the third time that he's turned his on-the-road antics into a book. And yet again, Michael heard some incredible stories as he talked to people and learned about their weird and wonderful hobbies. Among his discoveries, the biggest cuckoo clock in the world. And even the flooding this summer could not deter him. After 2,473 kilometers, the final section of this journey loomed large. The Haldenwanger Eck mountain pass in the Bavarian Alps. Not exactly ideal push scooter terrain. And that meant that our intrepid investigator had to carry his trusty steed those last few meters. This pillar marks Germany's southernmost point. Michael didn't quite make his target of 80 days, but he made it in time to be on Talking Germany.
How did that feel, that moment?
Oh, that was such a relief. I mean, it was after 81 days. Unfortunately, I needed one day more than expected, but it was the best. You know, like after 80 days or 81 days, like all these mountain ranges in Germany, cold at the beginning, heat, 35 degrees Celsius at the end, and then up that mountain in the Alps, it was just like enough.
Why 80 days?
That was a kind of challenge, you know. That was a kind of challenge for the program, you know. Let's try to. It was like a bet, you know, with the boss here. It was a kind of bet. Can you do it? And I said, yeah, I can do it. And so it took me one day longer.
I like the fact that you had a little speedometer on the handlebar there. Yeah,
yes.
Measuring distance
Yes.
covered, measuring speed. Was it accurate?
It was accurate, yes. So, I mean, it said like how fast I am and how many kilometers in total.
Okay. So what was the longest day? What was the distance that you covered on the longest day?
Yes, 83 kilometers.
Come on.
In Baden-Württemberg.
Like so down in the southwest of Germany?
Yes,
yeah?
southwest. 83 days, 83 kilometers, and I had one day earlier 82. So it was like 165 in 2 days in a row.
How on earth do you do that? How do you do 82 kilometers in one day?
It's seriously 8 hours. You really start at 9 o'clock, you got your bottles of water on you, and it's just like 2 hours a break, 2 hours a break. It's like really 8 hours, and if you go like 83 or 82 kilometers, it's like running, if you would run, jog, 30 to 40 kilometers. That's like the equivalent, I think.
Getting close to a marathon.
I think it's like really like these very long ones. I think it's less than a marathon, but it's more than 20 kilometers of running. So it's somewhere in between. So it's really, you go back and 6 o'clock you go to sleep. Yeah.
And you had a team with you, or how does that work?
I had a person who was filming me as well, a second camera person, and she drove the camper van. We were sleeping in the camper van, so it was like a person who supported me, you know, like who did everything, who communicated with the editors, who sent out the videos to the technical editors. So it was like a mixture of work she did, like some like producing work. So
you said 80 plus kilometers for one day. What was the top speed you actually reached? Did you get that on your speedometer as well?
Yeah, it was 40 kilometers, so like something like around 30 miles.
Was that rolling downhill, or was that you actually sprinting along on the flat land?
No, it was downhill, like on the normal street was like 30. But that was the maximum. If you really push it, you can go up to 30, but only for a few minutes.
And Germany, I mean, you started in the north. You started, and it's quite flat, the north of Germany.
The first 500 kilometers, it's all flat.
And then things changed.
And then things changed. Then you have the mountain ranges in Thuringia, you have the Black Forest mountain range, Taunus is like endless. Everything from the north, middle, it's just mountain.
Yeah, I have one of these push scooters at home, and I use it sometimes,
Right.
and it's good fun, yeah. But I use it to go down to the local post office or whatever, yeah.
That's good. But
yeah. I just can't imagine how you were going up. Did you train in advance? Was there a training program before you set off?
Yes. So I trained 3 months in advance.
3 months.
So first, just starting running, stopping smoking, to stop smoking, and then I did like a month of scootering in the morning. So 15 kilometers every morning here in Tiergarten in Berlin.
In the park.
In the park, and then I thought I'm sort of trained, but then I started and I still got a sore. So
when I get on my push scooter,
Right.
yeah, what I use my right leg, and then I use my left leg, yeah. I changed. Did you have one leg as your standing leg and one as your running leg? Or?
No, you have to change. It's very important. Otherwise, you really get physical problems. So 10 left, 10 right. All the time. And at one stage, you don't even have to count anymore because it's just an automatic behavior. You listen, you can think about different things, and it just goes 10 left, 10 right automatically.
You went right down Germany in a zigzag.
It was
covered
zigzag.
a lot of ground. Did you plan the route in advance?
Sort of. We had because like the goal of this kind of series was to explore Germany and in sort of interesting, funny German locations, not the typical cathedral of Cologne, more like the Leaning Tower of Thuringia. No one knows this Leaning Tower, although
Leaning Tower of Thuringia.
Although it's leaning more than the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Really?
So it was
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there are like these, or the UFO reporting office in Mannheim. Like people can report when they've seen a UFO. So like these topics you don't really expect in Germany. Not the mainstream, not the conventional Germany. It was more like funny topics. So these were sort of planned, like 30 stories, and that was like the kind of route I had to scooter.
You learned a lot about Germany. What did you learn about yourself?
Well, that I won't do another scooter trip. How could I do that? That's what I learned. No, I learned that it's a lot of fun to do a lot of sports, and it's good to have a challenge, It keeps you
a marathon man. You were a marathon man, and more.
And it avoids boredom. It's like, to have to go there, it's fun.
But it all finished at this place called the Haldenwanger Eck, this lonely border stone up in the mountains, Is there no road up there?
No, it's just like a little path. It's like 1,800 meters, more than 1,800 meters in the Alps. I had to carry it. The last day was like carrying the push scooter up the mountain, and it was not easy. It was painful.
Okay, that's that one painful journey. You've been on other journeys. We've seen there in the report. Yeah, one of the journeys you've been on was how to travel the world for free.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I always wanted to go to the end of the world. In my definition, it's Antarctica. It was always a dream, this very secluded place to go to Antarctica, but to travel there, it's very expensive. Even if you take a plane to Argentina, then take a boat, it costs you more than $10,000.
Really?
It's very exclusive to visit Antarctica. Okay. So I thought, okay, if I don't have enough money, let's go for free. And so I traveled for free over land, over the sea, Atlantic, to North America, Central America, South America, and then finally the last tip to Antarctica.
I mean, I know a lot of people these days, especially the internet age, they try to travel for free and they use a lot of the facilities that are available on the internet. But this is a very ambitious project. How do you do it? How do you eat? Where do you sleep? How does that work?
Eating, traveling, sleeping. So, for example, sleeping over the computer. There is the couch surfing internet site. It's like Facebook, but people offer their houses for free. You can stay on the sofa. That's very, very interesting network. Food, always as a barter deal. I went to restaurants or shops. I said, look, I can clean your floor if you give me that sandwich, or I can tell you a joke, or I can get you customers in. So it was always a barter deal. Traveling, it was hitchhiking. Or I even took a plane at one stage. Like I offered a service.
Took a plane for free?
And not for, once I took a plane for free because it was a present from a pilot, like a standby ticket. But the other time, from San Francisco to Costa Rica, I took a plane which cost $300. But I offered the service of pillow fighting in San Francisco, so people could pillow fight me for $1. Since the 300 people did the pillow fighting with me within a week, I had 300 bucks in cash, you know, to buy a one-way plane ticket.
How did the pillow fighting work? You need two pillows for pillow fighting.
Two pillows, and people, you know, my idea was people come from the office a bit tense. Maybe they want a pillow fight to release the tension part, but people were excited about it. They just said, okay, let us fight 5 times. In certain parts of the world, pillow fighting is a very good business.
Wonderful. And you made it to Antarctica?
I made it to Antarctica after 5 months, yes.
Good for you. Amazing. Well, we've been talking about Germany, and one way of looking at a country, any country, not just Germany, is through clichés, which are, of course, generalisations that are sometimes well off the mark, but sometimes contain a grain of truth. And it was that grain of truth that Michael Wigge set out to find in his DW series, The Truth About Germany.
In more than 60 episodes, I have pursued my ongoing quest to find out the truth about Germany. My mission, to find out what Germans are really like, has taken me to many different places. Ready, steady, go! So are modern Germans really so punctual? Germans are said to find cleanliness, reliability, being industrious very important, but does that still hold true today?
Collecting clichés in the 60-plus episodes comprising the series The Truth About Germany proved a lot of fun. Particularly revealing was the input from the innocent passers-by he incorporated into the show. What are Germany's greatest achievements, for example?
I would say the fall of the wall and the unification.
The best currywurst in the world. 3 times football world champion.
Each episode focused on a particular topic. One show was geared up for the Autobahn and its worldwide appeal for amateur speed merchants.
The German Autobahn is a legend, mainly because on some stretches there is no speed limit and you can drive as fast as you like.
Pickled cabbage was also on Michael's menu. German consumption of sauerkraut has dropped in recent decades to 1.2 kilos per head per year, now below the figure for France, 1.7 kilos. Perhaps it's time to scrap that old nickname, the Krauts. And that's just a taste of the many truths about Germany that Michael Wigge explored on his travels.
Clichés about Germany. Cliché number 1, the car. Nice car.
Nice car, and the Germans like the cars. Huh?
Yeah.
They're very big here in Germany. Yeah?
Where did you get the car from?
That was like, you know, for the truth about Germany, and I got it from like a BMW trader at one stage.
So it's your car?
It's my car, yes.
It's still your car?
It's still my car, yeah.
Oh, very nice.
It's like, it's my friend, it has a name, Otto.
Otto.
O-double-T-O.
That's Otto the car. What were the clichés about Germany? What clichés did you discover that particularly interested you?
I mean, I was interested, like, are these big stereotypes true? Like punctuality, reliability, cleanliness, precision, all this, you know, and to a certain extent, they might change a bit, but I think they are quite true, but also like the kind of seriousness or the kind of planning the Germans like to do to plan their whole life, you know. So there were many, but also the kind of funny ones, like are we the Krauts, the sauerkrauts, you know, like everyone said, you know, is it true? Not so many people do eat it, I think, but you know the name is there. Or
when did you last eat sauerkraut at home?
Yeah, probably
when you were a kid.
Probably when I was filming.
When you were filming.
So it's like it's not really big, the kraut thing, but it tastes good and it has a lot of vitamin C supposedly. So or like are we the big beer drinkers? And we are not anymore. It's like it's getting less every year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've studied the whole idea of clichés. What are they good for? Where do they come from?
I mean, in some cliches there is a certain truth, sometimes maybe generalized or exaggerated, but if there is the cliche of the, like the punctual German, it's not untrue, like just taking.
I'm glad to hear this, because people here in Germany are always complaining about the German railways, for example.
And this is so funny, and I've just taken the railway this weekend, and I was thinking, this is so punctual, like at 43 it comes, maybe it comes at 45, and then everyone is complaining, which tells me...
Which is a very good sign. I mean, it's a sign that things are run punctually.
Exactly, and people have such a high expectation of punctuality here in this country. Now, I think in some countries, if the train comes at 45 and not at 43, people say, like, yeah, that's punctual. So here the expectation is, I think, is very high.
Okay, we've had one German word so far. We've had Wanderlust in the programme. Yeah?
Wanderlust, right.
We've had Wanderlust. Here's another one in just a second, because I went on a well-known search engine, and I put in the words Germany and cliché. I was interested to see what came out, and there was all sorts of stuff about the kind of things you've been talking about, like beer and lederhosen, but there was a list very similar to the kind of things you're talking about. Logical, orderly, predictable, safe, and honest. That sounds a little bit langweilig. That's my second German word of the show today.
Right.
Boring.
Boring.
Are Germans boring?
I mean, there is a cliche, the general cliche is like, oh, they are not so like good in humor. But I often think, that it depends on the part of the country, and the humor can be quite special. So like, let's say for a foreigner who learns German, it might be difficult to explore that humor because it's kind of subtle. It has a certain thing. People would take it serious if they are not really grown up with it. So there is humor in the culture, obviously, a lot of humor. It's changing. The society is changing anyway, but maybe not so easy for some people to understand.
Yeah, it's interesting for people who travel these days, because people like a country to be safe. They like people to be honest, because it makes them feel comfortable in the present day world. Would you say when you've been travelling around Germany, and I mean you've travelled a lot, are Germans good people? Do they help you? Are they helpful people?
I think these kind of reliable attributes are there. Like to do something, it's your duty to maybe help someone, or to be reliable in a certain sense. I mean, there are different people. It's difficult to generalize, but I think it's okay, yes.
Okay. You did another series, Germany, the most beautiful country in the world. We've heard about it,
Land of loveliness.
Germany, land of loveliness. Is Germany a beautiful country?
It's very diverse, from like the sea in the north down to the Alps, then the history, long history, the different dialects. I mean, there are so many aspects of like a long-grown culture, which is very interesting, and the scenery is beautiful. The winter can be a little bit long. I mean, we know that, but in general, it's
good that we have the 4 seasons in Germany.
We have the 4 seasons, which is something to see. Yes, so definitely it's beautiful, and there is a lot to explore. And on these 3 projects I've done for the Deutsche Welle here in Germany, it was never boring. It was always something new to explore. It was
never langweilig.
No, it was never langweilig. It was never langweilig. And you can look at the main attraction, but you can look at the little things like in the scooter program. Like like there are so many little things which tell you a lot about the culture. For example, like the center point of Germany. It's like a center point, but then there are 6 center points. Everyone claims ours is the only one. So and you have it with the cuckoo clocks. There are like 2 of the world's biggest cuckoo clocks, and both of them say no, but we are the biggest. And there are 2 of the lowest points in Germany, -3 meters, and both villages say it's us. So there is like these funny things which tell a lot about the culture, and there is so much more to explore. I haven't.
Okay, just before we round up, tell me, you said you got off the beaten track. We don't need to talk about Munich or Cologne or whatever cities. Tell me, what was your favourite town or city that was a little bit off the beaten track, travelling around Germany?
Off the beaten track, I mean, I've just mentioned the Black Forest. I mean, it was impressive to see the tradition, but to see this like vast forest, which is still in a industrial country like this, still there. But I've also went to this, like, this is a good place. It's like Seligenstadt. It's like just a town outside Frankfurt. But I met a woman, and she was a collector, which which is a typical German thing, and she collects sugar. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Let's walk in, and she collects 130,000 pieces of sugar. So it's like I went into this house, and the whole house was like full of sugar pieces, sugar teddy bears, and sugar paintings. So this is what you can find, and I found it very interesting to see what kind of passions the people have in Germany.
Now, I know that you'll have seen it during the show, and Michael has mentioned it already, but you still will have been wondering just a wee little bit what this is here and what it's all about. Two very interesting things. One, an apple, yeah. The other, a copy of a newspaper. The newspaper is the Hawaii Tribune Herald, to be precise. And the guy on the cover here is, of course, you've guessed, this man, Michael. And this is another of his adventures. The idea behind it was that he would trade or barter the apple for something more valuable and that thing for something more valuable again until within 200 days?
200 days was a challenge, yeah.
He would end up, and this is the reason for the newspaper, with...
a house in Hawaii.
What an idea.
Yeah, that was my childhood dream, to have an...
OK, I understand that. That was your childhood dream. But the idea of bartering from an apple yeah, to the house in Hawaii, yeah? Crazy man.
Yeah, I wanted to try it, you know. Is it possible, you know, like, because I sometimes experience that you can sort of barter the apple for, like, you know, a book. You know, I've done this as a child, and I thought, like, okay, and if you do it more and more and more and more, where could it lead to? Could it lead to really get something very expensive or like a dream? Like the house in Hawaii was always a dream.
There was something else about the apple. That's where we need to start.
It was bitten.
It was a bite.
Yeah, I was hungry. At the start, I was hungry.
It was your bite?
It was my bite, yeah.
OK, so you had the apple with a bite taken out of it. Yeah. And that was your first trade? That was your first barter?
Yes, for a pack of cigarettes.
For a pack of cigarettes.
So the man on the street said, look, I want to live healthier than I've done, so the apple is a good deal for me, and I had a good deal because the pack of cigarettes is like 10 times more valuable if you buy it than the apple already.
OK, what happened next?
There was a book. A woman had written a book about some city or something in Germany, and, you know, it was her book. And I said, look, you get cigarettes, you know, it's a good deal. And she said, OK, I haven't sold the book yet, so maybe I start with a barter deal. And then a bottle of wine, and then it was a lawnmower, and then later on in India, you know, it was a trip around...
India?
It was a trip around the world through 14 countries.
How did you get to India, then?
With a plane. I paid the plane. This was my investment in the whole thing. But then in India, it was like bartering a tuk-tuk, three-wheel motorized taxi later on. Bartering the tuk-tuk to silk, 80 meters of silk.
India is I'm very passionate about India, and I love going on tuk-tuks. I've obviously never driven one myself. Yeah. You owned one.
I owned one.
For a short period of time.
For a short period of time. And then I bartered it for 80 meters of silk to like a silk factory, yeah.
Lordy.
Yeah, and so it went to Australia, to Singapore. I met a billionaire, bartered gold and silver coins. Then to Africa, Eastern Africa, Ukraine, Eastern Europe, South America, North America, to Hawaii.
North America, where you became known as, what was the word here, Mr. Barterman.
Barterman. So
you had a uniform, yeah?
It was like,
an
you know,
outfit.
like it was like a Superman outfit, but I changed it a bit. You know, it used to be a Flash outfit, like one of the superheroes, and so we cut his ears. And we put a big sticker, Barterman, on it. And then I went in, you know, to people in New York first. And people were like, a new superhero, Barterman. You know, we love Barterman. And this helped me, you know, really getting the final barter deals. Yeah.
My daughter, I was speaking to her. She's a teenager. And I was telling her who you are and what you get up to. Yeah.
Oh.
And she was saying, that's really interesting. But her first comment, more or less, was, he must be a very good communicator.
Aha.
I mean, because you have to step up to people all over the world. You've just been explaining, in many different continents, and you have to make the situation work.
Yes. I mean, if you're
really... Is that something you've learned, or is that behind, in your own four walls? Are you a modest, sort of shy guy, or is this you?
I mean, definitely I can be shy. I mean, there were different parts, you know, personality parts. You know, if I'm sort of socializing with people, I'm not the guy who's always in the middle. So, but I'm not really shy to just talk to someone and say, hey, you know what? You know, I got this offer, 80 meters of silk. It's for you. You know, so I'm not really shy.
You're not a wheeler dealer.
You know, it's the best deal ever. You know, so I don't have trouble to really approach people.
Give me an honest answer on this one. Do you think that this project would have worked? If I were to set... I mean, I don't have the skills that you have, yeah? I'm not the wheeler dealer that you are, yeah? But if I were to set out without a camera and a camera team, with my Apple, and I wanted to turn it into a house in Hawaii, could it possibly work without the camera looking on?
Right. I think it did help a bit, that's true. So it helped more than people were turned off. But I had both situations. You know, some people said, I only want to join, for example, a millionaire in Australia, you know, because it's so, like, glamorous. You know, he wanted to be maybe on television or something. But I also had people who said, like, look, I don't really feel like participating because I'm a private person, especially rich people. Like, I've met billionaires, like really billionaires, and many of them say, look, I don't need to be on television. That's not interesting for me. So it helped more than it did not help, but it was a certain mixture.
OK, and the goal of it all was to realise one of your childhood dreams, which was the house on Hawaii. I think we've got some pictures of the house on Hawaii. Let's just have a look at this and you can tell us, you can describe for us what we're seeing. There you go.
So basically, I bartered at the end two things. A property, it's a quarter of an acre, 1,000 square meters, and this little wooden house, like let's say the hippie house. So it's not the huge villa, it was a hippie house. So basically two pieces were put together, the property and what you see here, the little house.
So this is an addition that you guys are putting on after you'd actually bartered the house?
No, with those guys who built the addition, I did a barter deal on top.
That was a barter as well?
So the building was a barter deal as well.
Wow.
That was barter deal number 42. That was the last one.
That was the last one?
Yeah.
42?
42 in 200
To get
days.
from the Apple to the house?
Yes.
Wow, yeah. People who helped you along the way, people who were sort of along that chain of exchange, yeah? Are they, if I'd been one of those, would I be allowed to go and stay in the house? How does that work?
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
I mean...
Has it happened?
Right now, it wouldn't be so comfortable. I think there is some humidity inside, but, you know, it got a bit moldy, sort of. But people, who read the book, who watched the program, could write to me. We did it for a year. And it's an exchange, they could go into the house. So people could contact me on Facebook, and we did it for a year. Right now, it's not in a good condition, so we just took a little break of the whole... But we had quite a few people in there.
And have you ever thought about going and living in the house?
Sort of. I mean, I'm going to spend the winter in Hawaii, actually, this winter. 1st of December, I'm off. So, but yes, I'm going to stay there for a while, but it doesn't have a water connection. So the dream sometimes has a few hidden details. So I might stay there for a while and somewhere else as well. But yes, Hawaii is the place of my dreams.
I'm just looking down at the newspaper because there was one question that I did want to ask, because on the photo on the newspaper, you're actually holding two. You're wearing a watch and holding a watch.
Yes.
What's the story of the watch?
So basically, before I bartered the property and the house, I had 9 different goods, barter goods, because at one stage, first I bartered one-on-one, like an apple for the cigarettes. But at one stage, over the value of 1,000 euros, I realized it's difficult to barter these high values. So I often bartered one product for 2 to keep each value down. So at the end, I had like 3 ounces of gold, porcelain dishes. I had like the $6,000 watch, what you see, like a contract for a record of a singer. So it was like 9 different goods to barter into these 2 final house and property.
That was the last step before number 42.
Yes.
Good for you. Amazing story.
Everyone can visit. Hey, everyone can visit. Contact me on Facebook. Yeah?
There you go. Yeah, Michael Wigge. Contact him on Facebook. Go and stay at his house in Hawaii.
You're welcome.
Maybe an apple thrown in. I don't know. Yeah. Now, in all his travels, there's one place that Michael Wigge hasn't been to yet, and that is outer space. But he is a keen amateur astronomer, so I'm sure he must have looked on with interest last year when Venus eclipsed the sun. Well, not exactly eclipsed. I'm saying too much there. Actually transited across the sun. So another side of Michael Wigge, the amateur astronomer. You know about these things. What I didn't understand when I'm watching that report is that there were some people who had protective glasses on.
Right.
They were looking up to the sun, and there were some people who didn't. I thought you had to.
I mean, I don't know what happened to those who didn't. You know, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I would be cautious, but.
Okay. Were you? It was June 2012. Yeah.
Yes.
Were you watching it or were you busy?
Oh, in June, I was in the US and I was invited to Jay Leno. And I was sitting between Jay Leno and Katy Perry on the sofa in the late night show, because of the How to Travel the World for Free.
Okay, you have more important things to do. Just tell me, though, why it's such an important event, the Venus transit.
What I think, sometimes it happens very rarely. I think sometimes it happens every couple of years, and sometimes it's like once in a century, or sometimes because it's not just a normal round. Things can be complicated in space, I think.
Okay, you have this passion for astronomy. Yeah, where did that come from?
It's actually connected to the passion of traveling, and this kind of like something unknown in distance. I think it's similar on Earth. Like, what's in Antarctica? What's in the rainforest? And it's like, what's out there in the universe? And this is it interests me at least equally than on Earth, because it's so amazing to think about how big the universe is, how little we know about it.
Practically nothing.
Practically nothing.
Exactly.
Are there planets like Earth?
Yeah.
Are there like sort of any life forms? We don't know, and it's just so intriguing for me.
And do you have? I mean, you live here in Berlin in a sort of in a Berlin-style apartment. Do you have a telescope?
I don't have a telescope here because in the city sometimes it's a bit difficult.
Doesn't really work.
That doesn't really work. So I sometimes go to the planetarium here, to the observatory in Berlin, which has a very strong telescope. But I've been to Hawaii, also again Hawaii.
Back to Hawaii.
On Mauna Kea, Mauna Kea and Chile, like those two locations are like the best telescope places, like with the biggest observatories of the world. So I've been there, I've filmed in there, in like the Gemini Telescope. Yeah? The Gemini is like an 8-meter telescope, and you don't look through. It's just computer screens, but that's one of the places they look for, like exoplanets, to find sort of planets within the habitable zone similar to Earth. So I was very lucky to be able to film there as a journalist and to just look at all this.
Good for you. And we talked about your childhood dreams, about a house on Hawaii, yeah? Another one was you wanted to be an astronaut.
Always.
You're one of those.
If anyone could help me, then I can go to space, I would do it right away. ISS.
But you're the man with the ideas. You have the good ideas. You've got to develop an idea to get... I mean, that's tough.
That's a tough one, because, to go to ISS, to the space station, it costs like $35 million. So, that is a challenge. If I can solve that, I do so. I really would go right away. But it's so difficult. Yeah? You got 35 million?
I haven't got for 30. There's nothing you can offer me that would get me to part with my 35 million, because I simply do not have it. What's your next journey?
It's not really there yet. So, but if I can find any solution for the space story, I would do it. That's like a dream. That's a dream. But no, there is no other one coming up yet, except of spending the winter in Hawaii.
The winter in Hawaii. Very nice. Yeah. We like to ask our viewers to bring along a cherished possession.
Oh, a cherished possession, yes. Yes.
What's he pulling out of his back pocket here? Yeah.
This is sort of my, like, what should I say? Like my notebook, my diary. So it's a funny one. So always when I travel, I make notes. You see here, for example.
Every day, or just spontaneously?
Spontaneously, like sort of. I plan things, like trips, like ideas. But then it's like written like this, and on this side it's upside down. So it's like one of the messiest books you can imagine. In the middle, it's nothing.
How many of these little red books have you got?
Oh, probably I had like 10 already or something, like one after another. Yeah, whenever it's full, I get another one. So I always get a little red book. Also, like I try to stop smoking, so I'm always making a note.
You mentioned that already. Did you succeed?
I did succeed. The other night I had one cigarette. It was only one. We don't count that. But so I always write, I do not want to smoke. And
Good for you.
I close it.
Okay. We're running out of time, nearly out of time.
Right.
Yeah, let's move on to our Talking Germany quiz, the traditional quiz at the end of the show. I'll give you two options. Yeah, quick answer.
Right.
Wanderlust or homesickness?
Then Wanderlust.
Telescope or binoculars?
Telescope.
Venus or Mars?
Venus is too hot, Mars.
I can hear the music. We're running out of time. I'm going to give you one more question. Arriving or departing?
Always departing.
Good for you. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, that's your lot with the multi-talented Michael Wigge. A great guest. There's more Talking Germany, including my blog, on our website. If you've enjoyed the show as much as I have, come back next week. Until then, bye-bye and tschüss.